Right now at 10, it has been 6 months since the Abundant Life shooting where the school and community are on the road to recovery. And a hit list is circulating after Minnesota lawmakers are shot over the weekend. How Wisconsin legislators are reacting. Plus, cryptocurrency scams are rising in Wisconsin. The new guidelines to protect consumers. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Eric Franke. Sarah is off tonight. Rain moved through southern Wisconsin earlier today, but could more showers reappear yet tonight? Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington on the very humid weather patio. The latest from Radar 3000, Alex.
Tropical rainforest for sure out here right now, and it's that fuel for a few more showers and thunderstorms tonight. As you said, Eric, some places saw some rain today, some places did not. Iowa County, west of Madison, some places picking up well over an inch. One of our viewers sent us a photo I'll show you a bit later of considerably more than that, but unfortunately our friends down towards Janesville, over towards Elkhorn missed out on this rain. I do have more rain chances in the forecast, though, for everyone. Couple showers, just a few thunderstorms to the north and west up towards Juneau County near the Camp Douglas area. Not expecting widespread severe weather tonight, but some gusty winds and some small hail can't be ruled out. And those storms earlier in our 6 o'clock newscast, I said I'd give us another glimpse of that at 10 o'clock. I said at 6 I thought that they would fizzle out, and they have fizzled out. So it's just those few showers and a couple of thunderstorms to the northwest up along 94 right now that I expect will also follow par for course and probably will fizzle and wane as we go into the early morning hours tonight. But we can't rule out a shower or a thunderstorm throughout the overnight with all the humidity that we have in the air. Better chances for storms as we go later Tuesday on into Wednesday. The latest on alert day conditions and how much water we can expect potentially by the time all is said and done Wednesday night is coming up.
Alex, thank you. It has been 6 months since the deadly shooting at Abundant Life Christian School that left 3 people dead and more injured. That shooting brought even more attention to gun legislation and regulation in the state, but has anything changed since December? Our Maddie Heimsch set out to answer that question.
There are a number of common sense rules and regulations that this state and our federal government could pass tomorrow.
It's a sentiment we've heard repeatedly from local leaders since December 16th. But has what happened here at Abundant Life had any impact on what happens here at the state capitol?
People overwhelmingly, gun owners, Republicans, independents, they all want to see responsible, common sense gun safety regulations that we know reduce the incidence of gun violence.
While no major legislation has been passed, gun-related bills have been introduced in both the Senate and the Assembly. Republicans authored a bill that would make gun safes tax-free, a measure that wouldn't stop citizens from getting guns, but would incentivize safe gun ownership. That bill currently sits in the hands of the Joint Survey Committee. And most recently, a group of Democrats introduced a bill package with several gun-related measures.
The way that we have just made the public policy choice in this country, that the ability of anyone to own as many guns as they want in an unfettered way is more important than the lives and safety of our kids.
That package in its entirety would ban ghost guns and enact mandatory waiting periods and a red flag law that would allow law enforcement to take away guns from people determined high risk. Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Well, the road to recovery can be long, but many in the ALCS community came together just hours after that tragedy to begin the healing process. Hundreds gathered for vigils across the Madison area to share their support for the victims and families. Senior Pastor Pedro Ruiz sharing that 6 months later, the way the community came together to heal at Casa de Fe was a touching moment, and one that helped people at a time of great need.
I think it was something that it was needed for people, that spiritual part of it, that, not knowing all the whys that we have in our minds and focusing on, start focusing on healing inside. And I think throughout this time, that's exactly what has happened.
And there was also a wave of financial support with an emergency and recovery fund established, surpassing more than $600,000 going directly to ALCS. And last month, Madison police arrested the shooter's father, Jeffrey Rupnow. He is charged with 2 counts of intent to sell a dangerous weapon to a person under 18 and 1 count of contributing to his child's delinquency. Court records say Rupnow gave his daughter access to numerous guns, all while being fully aware of her ongoing mental health struggles. He's due back in court July 24th for a preliminary hearing. Vance Belter, the man accused of shooting Minnesota lawmakers over the weekend, reportedly had a hit list of legislators, and that includes U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin and at least 11 other Wisconsin lawmakers. We've been asked to not report the names of the people on the list for security reasons, but some at the state capitol are on edge. And we spoke with Madison State Senator Kelda Roys about how lawmakers are reacting to that political violence and the possibility of her colleagues being targeted.
I think it's very jarring because you always know in the back of your head, yeah, this could be a risk. And that's why, I take precautions. But something like this, I think, really shows just how vulnerable we are.
And officials at the Capitol are stepping up security measures. The Assembly will meet on Wednesday, and the Speaker's office has said it will increase security. The state Senate has upped its security as well. And according to authorities, Belter has also targeted homes of other Minnesota lawmakers. Prosecutors say on the night of the shootings, he went to the homes of 2 more lawmakers. One was away on vacation, and he left the other house after police approached him. Today, Belter made an initial court appearance facing an array of charges, including federal murder, attempted murder, and stalking offenses. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul is joining 54 other attorneys general in a proposed settlement against Purdue Pharma and its owners. The agreement is worth $7.4 billion. Court cases allege that Purdue Pharma manufactured and aggressively marketed opioid products for decades, fueling the largest drug crisis in U.S. history. The state of Wisconsin and local governments would receive as much as $80 million from this settlement over the next 15 years. New bipartisan legislation aims to raise the federal minimum wage. Right now, it sits at $7.25 an hour. It hasn't been raised since 2009. This proposal would be more than double that rate. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri has teamed up with Democratic Senator Peter Welch of Vermont to introduce the legislation.
The minimum wage hasn't increased in 15 years. I just think it's basic justice. It's time to give American workers a raise.
A few years ago, the Congressional Budget Office looked at what a similar hourly increase would do to the economy and found some low-wage workers could become jobless as business owners might hire fewer employees due to rising labor costs. According to one of the nation's leading nonprofit credit counseling agencies, more millennials are falling into debt, but Money Management International says it is also now those millennials who are the most asking for help to dig out of that credit card debt. The agency describes it as a significant trend away from their typical clients in their 40s and 50s.
I will say the positive thing about millennials is they are willing to take action. They actually turn out to be the most receptive to financial counseling.
A study by LendingTree found millennials are still in an overall better financial position than their counterparts were at that age, particularly when it comes to net worth, assets, income, and spending. AARP Wisconsin says crypto kiosks are popping up all over the state, causing problems for many Wisconsinites. The ATMs are still relatively new, and for that reason, they've largely been unregulated. The State Department of Financial Institutions has provided some new guidelines. They now have to limit transactions to $2,000 a day per customer, post a warning in front of their BTM, and maintain anti-fraud policies and procedures. Artificial intelligence is making it easier than ever for scammers to target consumers, but companies looking to hire are also in the crossfire. Pindrop Security, a company that detects AI fraud, says it has seen a 900% increase in AI scams in the last 2 years. Those fake applicants were even trying to score a job with Pindrop.
It is really shocking, but I think it's because these AI scammers are just applying to a wide variety of companies. Every fraudster is playing a numbers game.
Now, last year, the Justice Department accused North Korea of attempting to infiltrate more than 300 U.S. corporations with fake job applicants, trying to extort the companies and gain access to private data. A special election is being held tomorrow for a District 1 seat on the Dane County Board of Supervisors. Law Office Manager Adrian Lampron running against Legislative Assistant Colin Baruchak for that spot. And at the center of the race here, affordable housing. The former District 1 supervisor actually left that position in March because she could not afford the rent. Also tomorrow, the legislature's GOP-led budget writing committee will take up a list of items within the state budget, including funding for the Department of Corrections and the UW system. Lawmakers are up against that July 1st deadline to pass the budget or keep spending at current levels. The Madison Streets Division will not collect trash on Thursday this week. It's in observance of Juneteenth. Residents who normally have their trash or recycling collected on Thursday should instead place their bins out for pickup by 6:30 Friday morning. People who usually have their collection scheduled for Friday should continue as normal. The Street Division's drop-off sites will also be closed Thursday. Still to come at 10, Israel and Iran continue to trade missile strikes, and President Trump meets with world leaders in Canada for now, while he's hoping Iran comes comes back to the table for nuclear negotiations. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
The EPA is telling some of its staff to stop enforcing violations against oil and gas companies. That's according to multiple sources. In addition, sources say its enforcement office has effectively lost a partner in the U.S. Department of Justice's Environmental Division, where buyouts and firings have greatly thinned staff. And if you're planning a summer road trip, the conflict between Israel and Iran might affect you. An analyst for Gas Buddy predicts prices could rise more than 30 cents a gallon by July 4th. That's due to the skyrocketing cost of oil. Some oil infrastructure appears to have been damaged as the two sides exchange strikes. Analysts say the good news is U.S. gas prices were relatively mild before the conflict began. Iran and Israel traded those missile attacks overnight as talks with the U.S. on Iran's nuclear program were called off. According to a new report, President Trump opposed a recent Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. The president has said if any U.S. armed forces are hit by Iran, America will retaliate, quote, with full strength and might. And while many American lawmakers are urging for de-escalation, there is agreement that the fates of the U.S. and Israel are connected.
A nuclear-armed Iran is an unacceptable threat to the world, not just to Israel, but to the United States as well.
We'll do what we need to do, and I think the United States knows what is good for the United States.
According to the U.S. ambassador to Israel, one missile fell near the American consulate in Tel Aviv, causing minor damage. No Americans were injured. Then President Trump was in Canada for the G7 summit earlier today before returning earlier than planned due to the Iran-Israel conflict. He has used the G7 as an opportunity to talk tariffs and also express his hope that Iran will soon sign an agreement. Torian Small reports.
The G7 summit opened in Canada Monday, and President Trump used the opportunity to cement new trade deals. The president announced the signing of an agreement with Britain's prime minister that will slash tariffs on UK automobiles and aerospace imports, including jet engines. The agreement comes as tensions continue to escalate between Iran and Israel. Iranian state TV was on the air denouncing Israel's airstrikes Monday at the moment an airstrike hit the building. President Trump told reporters he warned Iran repeatedly to strike a deal to limit its nuclear program.
I gave Iran 60 days, and they said no. And the 61st, you saw what happened. Day 61. So I'm in constant touch. And as I've been saying, I think a deal will be signed, or something will happen, but a deal will be signed. And I think Iran is foolish not to sign one.
The president also said he's willing to go to the Middle East to help with peace talks if necessary.
We have a thing called a telephone, so we're talking. But it's always better to talk in person.
In other G7 news, the president criticized Monday the summit's 2014 decision to expel Russia from the group. He said Russian President Vladimir Putin remains insulted. President Trump suggested Russia's war with Ukraine could have been prevented if Russia had been allowed to remain in the group. Torian Small, CBS News, Washington.
Whistleblowers are shunning the Office of Special Counsel amid fears of partisanship. Insiders and independent watchdogs are raising alarms that the historically nonpartisan agency has been overtaken by loyalists to President Trump. They say changes have already pushed whistleblowers away from the agency and toward Congress, the press, or to inspectors general at federal agencies. And the Supreme Court weighing just how much power lower court judges have to block the president's policies for the entire country. The issue arises from an appeal challenging rulings that have blocked President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. Their decision could help define the extent of the president's executive authority, and it will have enormous implications for the Trump administration's entire agenda. Tourists in southern Europe got a less than friendly welcome over the weekend as protesters hit the streets. Demonstrators in Spain drew water guns on tourists to dampen their travels. Some also set off smoke canisters. Many locals marched to voice their displeasure. They blame a rise in tourism for driving up housing costs and pricing people out of their neighborhoods.
We have our own problems right now. Tremendous problems. So we're not going to complain about it. I think that these people are feeling something that is to them very personal, and is perhaps destroying some of their areas.
The anti-tourist backlash presents a serious dilemma for cities that rely heavily on visitors pumping money into their economies. According to a report from the World Travel and Tourism Council, international travel spending in Europe is expected to hit $838 billion this year. That's up 11% from last year. Rain in our forecast in the coming days, and that includes alert day conditions. Here's Alex with the latest.
And the latest on those alert day conditions still in the cards as we go into Wednesday for all of southern Wisconsin. A band of heavy rain of 1 to 3 inches and a couple strong storms not out of the question on Wednesday throughout the entire day. And that's part of the 3 things you need to know. Still an isolated storm overnight tonight. A strong storm we can't rule out on Tuesday, but better chances on Wednesday. And wait till you see the 10-day forecast. We got a hot and a humid weekend in store for southern Wisconsin. A couple of thunderstorms still up along 90 up around Camp Douglas just east of the Toma area. Those are rolling off towards the east, and I'm not expecting severe weather tonight. If there is a severe storm towards our north, gusty winds, marginally severe hail would be the main threat. Now, why are we going off to the west here to Minneapolis and Mankato? That's where they had considerable severe weather during their 6 o'clock newscast, and I said I think those storms are going to fizzle out as they move to the south and east, and they certainly have. Future track here, a couple of those showers up towards Camp Douglas, up towards Adams County, and then I think those showers will likely dwindle through the rest of the evening. Now let's fast forward and go on into Tuesday. A cold front will be moving through the area. A couple of showers and maybe a thunderstorm as we head towards noon. Pop-up variety, few and far between, but a little bit of a better chance as we head between 3 and 6 p.m. across the area as that cold front moves through. Not expecting widespread thunderstorms at this point in time, but a couple of them across southern Wisconsin. No doubt 1 or 2 of those could get on the strong side during the daytime on Tuesday. Then, as we look from Tuesday, our weakening storm threat tonight, that strong storm threat, a possibility on Tuesday, we turn our attention to Wednesday. Now, how does all that pan out? A couple showers and thunderstorms in the area as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. Savannah will be here. We'll be keeping an eye on this because this weather event comes through more during the middle of the day. Widespread showers and thunderstorms around noon. Some of these storms could get on the strong side as that low pressure moves up into far southern Wisconsin. We call that the warm air sector. Areas just south and east towards Janesville, over towards Elkhorn. You need the rain, but unfortunately it looks like you had that chance for a couple of stronger thunderstorms as we go on into Wednesday. Then everything wraps up as we go into Wednesday evening. Widespread water amounts here, 1, 2, maybe an isolated 3-inch amount, and this may move a little bit over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. So be tuning in to our newscast. We'll keep you up to date on where that band of heaviest 1 to 3 inches of rain will likely set up with Wednesday's alert day conditions. Any strong storms that we get tonight through Wednesday, gusty winds and hail, we can't rule out a tornado in a conditional sense on Wednesday if we can get enough heating. We don't need the severe weather, but we can most certainly use the water because we're dealing with drought conditions off towards the south and towards the east. Still moderate drought south towards Janesville. So hopefully we can spare the severe weather, but hopefully we will get the water as we go on into Wednesday, and then turning it to near 90 degrees as we head towards Saturday and Sunday. Overnight lows could be actually in the mid and upper 70s. We could be looking at heat index values approaching 100. Or above 100. So
there's very little middle ground. You know, last week it was cool. Now it's like you didn't want to go to the patio tonight.
No,
you don't like that humidity.
I'm still sweating here.
And we're just very little middle ground. You were talking to a national champ today, huh?
Yeah. Well, speaking of sweating, like down to his final throw, what does he do? Wins the whole thing. Coming up in sports, clutch on the big stage. When Jason Swarns knew he won it all during that final throw in Eugene. That's next on News 3 Now. It's been a couple of days, but it's still a little hard to wrap around just how clutch Jason Swarns was with a national championship on the line. In the final throw of his Badger career, Swarns launched it 69 feet 8 inches to win the shot put and be crowned a national champion. Simply no better way to go out than that, and that toss solidified him as one of the best to ever do it at UW.
Just kind of cleared my mind through it, and once I released it, I knew it was going to be a far throw, and then I saw where it landed, and then the emotions showed, and I was screaming, yelling. My voice is still recovering, so this has been like dream come true senior season, indoor Big Ten championship, outdoor Big Ten championship, and then to cap it off, the NCAA championship. It meant a lot. I've gotten fourth, third, and second before, so to finally get first feels good.
In a little over 2 months, Wisconsin volleyball will serve up their season, and Kelly Sheffield will do it without a longtime member of his coaching staff. After 15 seasons at UW as a player and as an assistant coach, Anne-Marie Hickey is leaving the program to take on a full-time assistant coaching role with Love Madison. Sheffield said of Hickey, quote, "She's been one of the most influential people for this program." Well, on the mat, Wisconsin wrestling unveiled their Big Ten opponents for the upcoming season. Coming to the Fieldhouse, Northwestern, Michigan, Indiana, and Maryland. While UW will face Ohio State, Minnesota, Purdue, and Iowa in road duels. The Badgers struggled last year in conference, finishing 1-7, but they are expected to be much better, and Chris Bono will have his big guns back in the lineup. Well, over the weekend, Luke Fickell was inducted into the National High School Football Hall of Fame as a member of the 2025 class. Fickell, who was a 3-time state wrestling champ, was a 2-time first-team All-Ohio defensive tackle during his high school playing days before becoming a 4-year starter at Ohio State. Well, it was day one of the state baseball tournament up in Appleton, and Sun Prairie East came up short in their Division I quarterfinal game against Muskego. The Cardinals finished the year 21-8. And a little history was made at the College World Series this afternoon. In a must-win game for Arkansas, Gage Wood dazzled on the mound, pitching the first no-hitter at the CWS since 1960. Wood struck out 19 batters to keep his team's season alive. And that's Check of Sports. Alex is back with one last look at your forecast after the break.
Tonight. The crowd was a little sparse down in D.C., but you know where people did show up? Everywhere else in America.
The Late Show's all new. CBS Tonight.
And Alex rejoins us on this rather humid, sticky night and has a closer look at the forecast and what's happening out there tonight.
A couple thunderstorms up towards the Camp Douglas area. These are non-severe thunderstorms, and they're moving into an environment that's been kind of tapped, kind of worked over. So I anticipate these showers and thunderstorms will continue to weaken, similar to the other showers and storms that have weakened overnight tonight. And again, not expecting widespread shower and thunderstorms overnight, and severe weather threat is low overnight. Good chances for showers and storms. Some could be severe on Wednesday with heavy rainfall, and then the heat turns on by the time we get to the weekend. Highs up near 90.
It's like the Everglades out there tonight. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. Coming up now, The Late Show, Stephen Colbert. Our next newscast, of course, tomorrow morning. News 3 Now this morning at 4:30. You can always find us streaming 24/7 at Channel 3000+. Have a great night.